Hello there, my name's Vince from My Mate Vince, and in this video today we're going to be looking at this absolutely beautiful Bang & Olufsen Beomaster 1900. It is a thing of beauty. I actually featured one of these on my channel a few years ago now. They were around in the mid 1970s, so you need to remember that. A serious bit of age to this now, and it still looks absolutely stunning. This one here is a little bit on the dirty side, needs a little bit of tender loving care. Hopefully by the end of the video we might be able to get it working. It's got two issues that I can see, and it also needs a nice good clean. So if you look at this aluminium strip, you can see that there's dirt up here, there's dirt here, all around here just looks grubby in all these things here. But look at this, a nice big lump of aluminium hiding that away there. So the reason I bought this one, because I have already done one on the channel, is because I think it's got an interesting fault. It's said that it's only working on one channel, so you've got left and right stereo, and it's only working out of one channel, not the other one. So I think that should be interesting to see what's what. The other thing that I've noticed is, if you have a look up here, if you want to tune the radio, you've got various different ones here to tune, you know, FM 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the 5. But look, the one from here is gone, so when I turn this around here I can see the string moving, but there's no actual marker, so I don't know what's happened to that, so we're going to have to look into that. Really nice. I'm going to turn it on now. The thing that makes this so special is, in fact, look at all, I can see a load of dirt there as well. The thing that makes this special is that it's all touch. And just to display, you need to remember the age of this thing. Also, it came with this weird plug. I've never seen one of these before, so I'm not sure what country that's from, but if you could put it down in the comments below. It's only 2 wire going into it, so I've just popped it on. I've put a 3 amp fuse in. I can't see the rating on this anywhere. I've looked underneath it and I can't see what it's supposed to be, unless I'm being blind. It takes loads of different inputs there for the voltage, but I can't see. There's no like wattage rating on it apart from what speakers to connect to it. So I thought that was a little bit strange, but 3 amps should be absolutely fine. Anyway, check this out. So you turn it on here. This is also very stiff, so it's okay to turn on, but look, turning it off is oh, hold on, earlier on when I did that was impossible. Maybe that's loosened up. But we have the standby on here, so let's turn it on. No, I think you'd hit, there we go. Now look at the way the buttons work. So to begin with, the volume, look at the way it fades up and fades down. It's amazing. That looks really, really special. And when you hit things like this, it works perfectly. And that's working from little transistors, and it's using me as an aerial basically to produce the energy needed to switch that. That's lovely, that is. I think there should be lights here. 1 second, phono. Yeah, from memory, I think there needs to be lights here, because there's a little bit of see-through plastic and it makes it look digital. When you move this up and down, I think it moves something here, so I think we're missing lights as well. But check this out, you can hear the noise. Yeah, so coming through that speaker there, I've only got the one speaker here at the moment. Now if we plug it into this one here, which is speaker number 2, you can hear now there's nothing. Yeah, and if I put the balance, can you still hear there's nothing? I tried the balance earlier, it's not making any difference. Yeah, so this side here is completely dead. Let me just put it into, let me try, because we have a switch here that's supposed to be for 2 lots of speakers. So let's move it to this one here and see what it's doing. Now, is it going to do anything on that? Yeah, so it's working on that one. So it's that side that's not working, and it's right the way up. And nothing there either. So whatever's working on that side is not doing it. Now, the very fact that we've got different outputs at the back and both of them are not working on one channel, surely that means there's kind of 4 channels out the back. One lot of speakers left and right, another lot of speakers left and right. So the only thing in common with them then must be something to do with this balance here. Is that not correct? So the things we have to fix are, why is only one channel working, not two, so just the left audio, not the right audio. We need to fix this thing here, find out what's happened with that string, and also we need to see what's going on with these three lights here. Then it needs a massive cleanup. We might also come across other faults as well as we delve deeper into it. Let's bring it over to the mat and see if we can get this one channel turned into two channels. So the idea of this is it would be a radio receiver, given all this here, and also an amplifier. So you'd connect your speakers to this, you could put your tape cassettes player into here, and you could do your record player into here, and then you would control it all with the volume and the treble and the bass from here. It would have set you back 200, and looking at beocentral.com here, it would have set you back £237 in 1978. That's around about £1,700 in today's money, and apparently it was a really, really popular product. I can see why. I mean, it looks amazing now, so imagine it then. Right, it says to remove the top cover, because that's what we want to get to at the moment. It says unscrew B and the two screws on the secondary control panel. So we're going to undo these screws at the back here. Boom, 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 and also underneath here. There's a couple of screws here and here. Now, in case you haven't seen my videos before, obviously I'm not a professional in this whatsoever, so I'm just going to be doing the bare minimum to it to make it look nice and work again. Something of this age would probably do with having everything recapped, and there's probably loads of different settings that you can do if you were a B&O engineer. Now, obviously, somebody would be more than welcome to take something like this to B&O and have it done, but realistically, you're never going to make the money back. So unless it's going to be sentimental to you, it probably would be cheaper just to get a working one on eBay, or get one that somebody's already repaired and then wants to get rid of. But I think they're an absolute bargain when it comes to second-hand prices. I paid £54 for this delivered. £54. So I think that's a very, very fair price. Oh, so the whole thing comes up here. Right, okay, 1 second now. It's so heavy. There we go, we're in. We are in. Excellent. Now, first things first, why are you not working? Well, string here, but where is the little thing that moves? Ah, here we go. Ta-da, it's here. Right, let's get it back on its, back where it should be. Does this come off? No. Oh, so it's on a spring. Look, it's on a spring here. So I can get that on there hopefully quite easily. Let me get some little tweezers. So let's just hook this around this wheel. There. I know I've gone the wrong side. I don't want to break it. That's annoying. I've made life difficult for myself now. I just need it to get on that little bit. In fact, I can see it's discoloured where it must have not been moved in so long. You can see how clean it is here compared to that. How bizarre. Why are you not going in? Yes, we're in, we're in. Oh, right, okay, so that's right the way over that side, and then right the way over that side, and then it gives. So it's got a knot on it, so it looks like it's already been repaired, maybe. Right, I can't quite understand what happens here. Oh, it goes... Right, okay. it goes like that along. Oh no, it must be the top, because otherwise it's gonna hit on these. It goes like that along here. Right, so you can see with this, there's a little groove. So you can see a groove here, so the string must come along, go behind here, and then here, and that's how it clips into place. So I'm not really going to be able to line this up properly until I know where the top goes. So I think for the moment, let's just put it all the way to this side. See, look, it's come out here now. I think maybe that knot's causing problems. I'm looking at this thing here because this is the bit that will do the tuning. See, realistically, you're not going to be going past it. So if I can keep the knot here, that's not going to cause any bother. So there to there. Right. So let's put this here. Well, let's see if I can slide that along. Yes, I can. Okay, so that looks like quite easy to actually slide along. I presume when it's down here. All right, I'm not going to worry about that at the moment because I think just by going to the very end, it's going to probably just hit against something, and it might even, I don't know. I'll worry about that later. I think that's going to be all right. Look at the dust up here. You can see where the grills were perfectly. Right, this little on and off switch here is hard to turn on and off when it's in its home. Why? I think, again, maybe it's just dirt. Something might have been spilt on here. Yeah, look at that. Oh, something's been spilt on that. So I suppose there's just a bit of friction. What I'll do is I'll get some isopropyl alcohol, and it might just help it slide along. I'm just going to use some of this. That's one of those fancy transformers that I keep forgetting the name of, begins with T. Toroidal or something. Apparently they're supposed to be good for audio equipment. Funny enough, on my last one I had to work on this switch here. The on and off switch wasn't working properly, but I think in this case here, I think it is working fine. Because it switches lovely there. I think it was just friction on this here that was causing it occasionally hard to turn on and off. Well, it was easy to turn on, it was turn off that was hard. This looks like a really honest example because again the last one I had, the lead was all dodgy in here and stuff, but this looks all, look at the way that's been routed there underneath here and across, that all looks perfect. And if when I put it back together it's still not working very well, then I might add a little bit of grease. I'm just slightly wary because it is mains and I wouldn't want anything to, I wouldn't want anything to cause any arcing or sparking or anything like that. Why have we only got one channel working? Now, if you have a look in here, can you see that we have some massive transistory type things? They kind of look like MOSFETs, and there's a huge heatsink on. I believe that's what's doing the actual output for the sound, the amplification, well, part of the amplification, I think, from when I worked on it before. So, the very fact that we've got 4 outputs at the bottom here, haven't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, which I presume is the same as having the 4 transistors. Now, if we know the left ones are working, but what's the odds of having both the right transistors fail? Possible, or is it something to do with the balance of it? because we have a balance, don't we, between left and right. So before we look at the balance, let's just have a quick look to see if there's anything obvious when we take off the bottom. So there's various different screws. In fact, it says here to remove the bottom cover, unscrew A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The previous one I didn't have this switch. This is the selector switch for 1 or 2. You can see here, off and 2 speakers. And it looks originally there would have been feet here. My previous one didn't have them either. And you can see here we have some little keyhole things where I think if you wanted to wall mount it. This is a much better example than my one, much better. My one had odd screws and everything here. I don't think this has been messed around with at all. Now, also my one had the capacitors changed, while this one is the original capacitors, which I suppose is not really a good thing, but it's still nice to see. Look at the size of them, absolutely huge. And yet nowadays the replacement ones would probably be about this big. I know in the one I did previously they were about that big. This is your selection switch here to do the different voltages, 110, 240, 130 and 220. We have a couple of fuses here. I presume they're going to be okay. Look at that weird thing. What's that from? That's a tuning thing. That's a tuning, you know, a ferrite core for a tuning. Oh no, we have another one here. What is going on? Where have they come from? Uh-oh. And another one. What? Why have we got so many of them? 3, just all lying here. How bizarre. I wonder now, are we going to have problems with it tuning in? Oh my word. And another. How did they not fall out throughout the years? You think they would have fallen through these holes? Do they fit? Not really. No, they're like a perfect fit. Right, okay. Oh, here we go. Right channel. Left channel. IC201, IC200, IC301, IC300. So it's the right channel, this one here and this one here, which is not working. Unless, of course, it did go in for service somewhere and this was left over from something else. Why are they all on this side? It doesn't make any sense. Headphone jack here, 6.35mm. And we have a point here for our aerials. I don't think I'm going to get too involved in this. I think I'm going to go straight to the... I need to remember to stick that back on. In fact, I'm going to do that now, otherwise I'll forget. I think I'm going to go straight for the balance, because what's the odds of having both transistors go on that side? So let's look at the balance first. I wonder whether stuff like this will ever go the way of classic cars. So for example, a classic car now is often worth more if it's completely unrestored than one that's been restored, because it can only ever be original once. Isn't that amazing? And I think the same goes for like certain furniture as well. So I wonder now, the fact that this has original caps, could it be worth more, not nowadays because the price is not worth enough, but in years to come if these got more and more popular? And I'm sort of thinking they might do, because they really are, in my opinion, a bit of a work of art. Then I wonder whether or not they'd be worth more in an unrestored state, completely original. I'd probably say yes. Right, let's have a look at this balance. Right, so we've got bass, treble, balance is this one here. And these are those bits of plastic that I was mentioning. I think I need to take this plastic out. Oh, you'll be able to see now. There you go. Actually, it's not too bad. Let me get a little bit of white paper and you'll see what it should look like. There you go. So you see now there's a light in the middle, and basically when you move this up and down, all it's doing is the red light kind of moves to one side and moves to the other side because the rest is blacked out. So the whole thing's very faded, but yet it's not on the one I had. All these black lines were rubbed off. So, well, not all, but they were rubbed off in a lot of places. Well, that doesn't look too bad because you see they're incandescent bulbs in here, and with a lot of use, the heat just burns away this. So although this is very dusty and stuff, maybe it hasn't had an awful lot of use. Let's look at the others. Not bad. Yeah, so you can see what's happening there now. Yes, that's not great in the middle. Oh no, so it is actually like coloured that in the middle. So now this one's going to be super bright, isn't it? Because it's kind of, yeah, burnt away in the middle there. So the middle is going to be much brighter. You know what, that wouldn't really bother me. If the middle was brighter than all the others, I don't think that would bother me. I suppose you could always put a little bit of paint on that, or even, you know what, a tiny square of Captain tape might mimic. I wonder what a bit of Captain tape, should we give it a go? Would that mimic the same colour? Maybe. Just guesstimating the size here. I need to go quite a bit smaller. Well, I don't know. It might be better than being clear. I'm not too sure. If we get it working, then we can see what's what. Right. Okay. So now, how are we going to measure these? We have. Let's go on to one that appears to be working, and then I might have an idea. So it looks like we've got a bit of metal there, and a bit of metal here. Is that what does the reading? Let's have a look. Right, so that is it going to steady itself? Yes, 42 ohms. Let's move it. Fantastic. $50 ohms. Let's go this way. No. It's not moving, is it? Right, so it's not there you measure it from. Where do you measure it from? Would it be between here and here? Yes, this must be it. Right, so at the very bottom, we've got 104 ohms. Sorry, 104,000 ohms. And near the top, we have 60,000 ohms. Right, okay. Now let me just get a reading on the bottom. It's going to be opposite, isn't it? So it's going to be 104, then it's going to go right the way down to 60. Yeah, fine. So that one looks like it's doing what it needs to do. I can't remember if that was bass or treble. It's this one here we want to concentrate on. But let me just check all of them. Interesting. I've got nothing there. Oh, hold on. That's in the mega ohms. I wonder, is that right? That doesn't fill me with confidence. Nah, something's not right there. It doesn't seem to be giving me a reading everywhere, does it? Look at that in the middle, not giving me a reading. I don't think that's working. Let's try this one here. Right, so that's a complete short. That's worrying. Look at that. Do you know what? It might not be the balance. That's a complete short. That's not making any difference at all. Let's try this one. That looks better. I don't think that's right. Well, no, that isn't right, but I'll show you later on in the video how to test it properly. Basically, cleaning it made no difference. I cleaned it with isopropyl alcohol and a little bit of deoxit fader. It made no difference at all. I needed to take this thing apart, so I needed to get the front panel off with all the touch sensitive buttons. Basically, I had a little bit of a fight with it because there's an annoying hidden screw just down by the capacitors. By the capacitors, there's a little metal plate where all the speaker connections are. There's a little hole in that. There's a screw under that. Once you undo that screw, the front plate comes off quite easy. So now what I want to do is, that I'm in this area, I want to know why these lights are not working. So let's have a look at the lights first, then we can worry about their potentiometer sliders later on. Well, we're in continuity. I think that they're not going to be blown. Oh no, they are blown. 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 Okay. And let me just make sure here. Yeah, there you go, 17 ohms. Right, okay, that's just a little bit odd how all these are okay and those ones are not. They all look to be the same age. They haven't been replaced with LEDs or anything. Let's try another one here. Yeah. Right, so I need to buy some of them. Last time I put LEDs in, I might think about that. I put LEDs in with a resistor. But that's the reason they're not working, so yeah, they're blown. Well, in a way that is lucky because it means it's just an easy fix. 3 new incandescent lights and it's going to be working again. So what I'm going to do now is take off the little plastic sheets that mimic the kind of digital effect of the bass and treble and balance moving left to right. And then I need to unsolder the potentiometer sliders using my desolder station. And then we can have a look closely to see why they are not working. We're out. Okay, so it all looks very tarnished. And a bit of plastic here's come away. Let's zoom in and see what's going on. So we've got 2 fingers and 2 fingers. Well, no, is that plastic there or is that carbon? It's just a 1 finger, is it? So what's this thing for? I wonder, is that carbon or plastic? That looks very flat. That's flat, isn't it? So let's see what happens here. That goes in. How does that even work? 1 second. How does that work? So you fit in. It's hard to see because of the grease. So you fit in, there, okay. Oh, I see, okay. So you can see it's slightly, I've got to be careful, it's slightly under spring tension because it's here, and obviously these are lumps of copper, which allow to flex a bit, or whatever they are, brass or something, I presume copper. No, copper would be too soft, wouldn't it? And it goes under there. This one just goes flat because it's broken here. So let's take that out. And what do we do here? What a mess. Let's give it a good clean, get rid of this grease, because it's not very nice to work on. Maybe I can melt it back into place. That's just going to come off, isn't it, when I start cleaning now? Probably ping across the room somewhere. So that's it. It's just not putting pressure on the fingers, so it can't give a reading. I think this is the problem. So I suppose I'm going to have to glue, if I was to glue it here, that would keep it down, and then I could maybe put this bit of plastic back over it and glue it all, and maybe then melt it after gluing it. So I did exactly that. I cleaned it all up and then I super glued it into place, and then I super glued the little bit of plastic back on, and then I tried to melt a little bit of black cable tie around it to kind of bridge over where the original brake was. I thought it went okay, but when I put it back together, it wasn't working reliably. And basically the problem with these things it's not just the fingers that break. The actual carbon track itself can wear away, so it's not giving you a good reading. I'll show you a little bit later in the video. For example, it might read 20,000 ohms at the top, and even 3 centimeters down, it's still reading 20,000 ohms. Then suddenly it will jump to 5 ohms, and then from the other 3 centimeters down, it will be 5 ohms all the way down. That's not how it should work. A good one should read from 0 to 20,000 ohms, and for every centimeter you go up, you're going to see a division of that. So it might start at 0, and then it might be up to 1,000 ohms, and then 4,000 ohms, and then 6,000 ohms, 12,000 ohms as you go higher and higher, 17, 18, 19, up to 20,000 ohms. So basically the base one is a 50,000 ohm potentiometer slider, and there's 2 on each side, one on the left, one on the right, and then the treble and also the balance use the same one. They're both 20,000 ohm ones, but I think where the balance is a bit different is the board itself has shorted the bottom pins all together, but that's done on the board, not the actual potentiometer slider thing. Also, that lump of, there is 2 fingers on each one. It's not a lump of plastic, it is a lump of carbon. It's the carbon that makes contact with the actual carbon track. I suppose carbon against a carbon track is going to cause less wear than metal against a carbon track. But basically, because it's not just the fingers at fault, it's the carbon track as well, not giving the correct reading, these are unfixable. So what I need is, I need 3 new incandescent lights for the treble, the balance and the bass. And I also need new sliders as well. Now, rather than buying them, I've already got one of these, and the one that I've got has gone faulty again. What's happened is, not that long after I fixed it, it started to overheat, where it would only work for 10 minutes, then cut out, then it went down shorter, then it got to the stage where it was cutting out all the time. I did do a revisit video on it, but I didn't release it because it was I didn't finish the video. I had to buy those massive transistor things that had the big heatsink on, and some massive wire round resistors. I did buy them. That was a couple of years ago, and I've never done anything since. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spares out of my other one, like the lights and stuff, and hopefully then maybe between, the lights are going to work fine obviously, but maybe between all the potentiometers I might be able to get 2 working ones, because I can mess around with the treble and the balance on my other one, and hopefully if I mix around a few parts I might be able to get something working. So what you see now is a couple of days later where I've taken my other one apart, and now I can show you how these actual potentiometers work, because it was not how I was testing it earlier on in the video. There's certain pins you go across and that will test it from 0 ohms up to 20,000 ohms. So we're going to pick up the video a couple of days later when I'm just soldering in the new lights that I've taken from my other broken Beomaster 1900, and then we can mess around with the potentiometers and hopefully get a couple of them working properly. So I'm just swapping out the lamps with my soldering iron. I've done these 2, I'm going to do this one on camera. And I just want to show you this shop here. It's really good. It's beoparts-shop.com. And look, you can buy a lamp kit for this model here, the 1900, but it also is compatible with other models as well. So €23. Really, really interesting. So check out this website. There's a lot of information here. And it's basically saying that they form part of the integrated circuit. For example, on the volume lamps, they vary in brightness as they form part of the electronic volume control. Any unbalance from bad, wrong lamp or an LED, because you think it'd be nice to change them with LED, can cause instability in the volume control, typically seen it running astray in either direction or just sitting there blocked and unresponsive. Now, the 3 lamps that I'm doing, when I worked on this one before, not this one, but the other one, I put LEDs in here along with, I think it was a 1K resistor or something. And it says here, the 3 lamps, the ones that I'm replacing, illuminating the balance and tone control indicators, double as bleed down lows for the standby circuit to activate properly. With wrong or burnt or lamps or LEDs, it can be difficult to bring the Beomaster into standby. It will often jump back on again. So isn't that interesting? Yeah. So if you had a fault with one of these where you go to standby, and every time you hit standby, it boom comes back to life again, you'd never dream it's because you put LEDs here or the wrong wattage bulbs in. But these form part of the circuit, so it's really good. Other ones avoid the loud bang and stuff. Really, really interesting. So check out that website. Right, let me just pop this one out. It doesn't matter which way they go in because it's incandescent. So it's going to work either way around. Whoops. Whoopsie daisy, I melted that one out of it. Butterfingers today. It's a good day for soldering. There we go. And these just clamp it on. Stop it wiggling around. It's nice because little metal strips like that means you can put a variety of different size bulbs in and you've got a little bit of allowance. Right, okay, so that's them done. So now I will have continuity across them. Ta-da! 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 Okay. In fact, we can put that back now, so we don't risk breaking anything. Wow, I really am Butterfingers. Dropping everything. So it's going to go in there and there. Let's clip that in. So there's going to be no light bleed from... It's got its own little compartment. That's going to go there. Let's give these a nice clean. Now I'm going to put those the other way. Not that it matters, but they've got little moulding parts on here. And let's hide those on the inside. That's how it would have been done originally. You can see there's just tiny little moulding bits there. Thank you, Anders. This is a really nice motion, this thing here. The ratchet on this is, it feels nice to use. It's a clean feeling mechanism, you know? Smooth. There we go. Now I've got to try to unsolder these two and try to get one working, one out of both of them. It's lovely seeing a wiring loom like that. It reminds me of a wiring loom in an old car, for example the Rolls Royce, you know, the way it's all tied and stuff. Right, let's look at these two. Right, let's see what this one is doing. So interestingly, as far as the fingers go, they're both broken on this one. Can you see? Broken and broken, so they're both flat. Right, okay. And let's see if this is going to test okay. So we are, where are we now? We're here and here. So to begin with, top to bottom. Fine. It's quite a bit of difference really, that's 17. Okay, anyway, let's see when it goes down. 17. 14. 12. This is looking good. Well, I think that one is going to be okay. Results, that one will be okay. Let's try this one. Yes, it's going down. Brilliant. Right, so the only thing that's different is that this one is reading 17 up the top, this is 22. Let's go halfway. That is reading 10.6. Let's go into this one. So the whole thing is a couple down, isn't it? Well, let's see if cleaning it makes any difference. But at least we have range there. So I'm going to give it a clean up with some isopropyl alcohol, and I've also already cleaned these with deoxit, and it's not making any difference because some of them just have a worn out carbon track. So not only have you got the problem with the broken fingers, you also have tracks that have worn out. So basically what I was doing there is I was having my multimeter with one probe at the bottom of the track and one probe at the top of the track. And if we have a full range like we did there, that's great, because as you start moving your probes closer together, you can see the resistance is getting less and less. So that potentiometer is going to work properly as long as we have the fingers that are not broken. But on some of them, that I'll show you in a minute, basically there is no range. You'll find that the bottom will near enough be a short, and halfway up the slider it will nearly be a short. And what that means is that if you have the slider at the very bottom all the way up to halfway, the B&O machine is not going to know that the sliders move because it's reading the same at the bottom as it does halfway, so there's going to be no range there. So on treble you're not going to hear any difference if the slider is right the way at the very bottom or halfway up. So on these, you don't just look for broken fingers, you also have to look out for broken tracks as well. Good news is the tracks are interchangeable, meaning that if you undo the little tabs at the bottom, you can push them out. They come out on a little circuit board. So between a few faulty ones, you will be able to get hopefully one or two working ones, which is what I'm trying to do in this part of the video. No, so I'm not happy with that one. Look, from here, it's 4 ohms when it should be like 1,000 or something. And when I go up, it's still 4 ohms. Yeah, so this one's obviously worn. Can I measure this one here? Let's have a look. 23, so that's nice. 23. 23, so this is no good. You can see it's 23 all the way to there. So there's no difference whether it's here. Remember, it doesn't matter the fingers are on it. I'm only measuring the carbon strip. 23 here and 23 here, so there's no different. 22. Then it drops. So you can see out of all of them, really the only one that's any good is this one here. So out of 4, there's 3 that are no good. And that's nothing to do with the break on here. We're talking about the actual, you know, the strips here. But this is going to be okay. I'll use this one as the tone. This one is going to be fine. So now let's put this one on here. Right, so this is the one that I've glued and I've put it onto the best bottom that I can find. Now let's see if it gives us any range. So right the way up the top. Good, 20 ohms. Excellent, we are getting a range. It's, you know, at least the fingers are working. I don't know how long that glue's going to last, you know. I don't know how much of a repair that actually is. 10. 8. Nearly a short. And weird. More, even though that was less further up. Yeah. I think it's going to be fine. So there is a 2000 ohm difference on most of that range there. That's going to be my tone. And this one is going to be my balance. Let me just double check this one to make sure I've got the right one. $11.3. 12, yeah, so this one's much nicer. Right, okay, let's get them soldered back in. So basically for the treble, I'm going to be using a slider that isn't really balanced. You can see it's about 2000 ohms difference between the left hand side and the right hand side on some of the range, and all the way up and down there's a difference in the range. But the one I'm using for the balance, which is in my opinion is more important because you want the speakers to be balanced left and right when you plug something in, is testing pretty much perfect. There seems to be maybe a 500 ohm difference, and I don't think that's going to make a huge amount of difference because even in just moving up and down slightly, there's going to be about a 500 ohm difference, just about a millimetre up or a millimetre down in the actual slider that the user uses. So I think this will be just fine. But it just goes to show that these things have reached the end of their life. The plastics become brittle and the fingers are now breaking off. Yes, I've super glued them in place, but I don't really think that's going to be a kind of lasting great repair. But this is something that could maybe be 3D printed if you were good with design. And when it comes to the carbon track, well, I don't know any way that you can fix that because I can't put silver conductive paint on because it's just going to be near enough a direct short across the whole range. I wouldn't be able to fix this in a way to put 20,000 ohms worth of carbon on there. If I got a pencil and scribbled over it, then it would add a bit, but it's not going to be calibrated in any way, shape or form, is it? So yeah, unfortunately, these are just end-of-life things, and I don't know what people would do to get it working again. With something like the balance, what you could do is, you know that halfway is going to be 10,000 ohms, so you could just put a 10,000 ohm resistor top and bottom, and at least you would have equal balance left and right, because normally, do people mess with the balance much? I thought they would have just sat it in the middle. Unless, of course, the room is kind of, you know, more speakers one side and where you sit, you do want it balanced left and right. I mean, obviously, the balance is there, so people must use it. But with the balance, you could get it. So you could just, you know, do it 10,000 ohms top and bottom, and at least then it would be in the middle. And with treble, yeah, again, you're gonna want that to be adjustable. So yeah, you would be able to put other things in, but I don't know if there's any aftermarket ones that you would just be able to fit in. I'm sure you'd be able to make something work, but I think it would involve running wires on the actual circuit board itself. So yeah, I mean, I was lucky here because I already had a Beomaster 1900 from a few years ago that I was willing to sacrifice for spares. But if I didn't have that, I'm not quite sure what I would do. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look up to see if you can actually buy these, because it's obviously a known problem. And if people are wanting to restore them, then somebody hopefully might have found replacements. Bear with me. Okay, a quick look shows that you can actually buy the plastic part of here. It looks like an aftermarket one. I presume it is just 3D printed, and then you would swap over the little metal fingers in. So that's great, that at least that exists there. But I can't see any replacement for the actual carbon track. But if somebody knew what they were doing, that wouldn't be a big deal, because they pop out and they're just on a little bit of fiberglass circuit board. So if somebody was in the business of making potentiometers, then you would be able to get a little strip made that reads 20,000 ohms from top to bottom, and for the base one 50,000 ohms from top to bottom. I suppose the thing is there enough demand worldwide for these? I would say it is a great little eBay business. So for example, this Beomaster shop one here now, if they were to get that made, I think it'd be a nice little seller, because then they sell the plastic thing that slides up and down. The plastic housing is going to be fine. The metal strips are going to last forever. The only thing that's wearing down is the carbon tracks. So I'm sure people would be well happy to pay £5 for each of them, and you could probably get them made for 30 or 40 or 50p if you were to buy them in a bit of bulk. And if this is your business, like when I was Mr. Telephone, I'd happily buy things in their thousands if I knew they were going to sell. A carbon track isn't going to go off. So yeah, maybe that's something that somebody could look into. And then you know going forward that these potentiometer slider things are always going to be fully fixable by having a 3D printed part for, I'm not sure if it is 3D printed, but they are replacement parts here, for the thing that moves up and down, and the carbon track. And that will be it. These will last forever then, because spares are going to be made for them. But at this moment in time, I can only see that you can get that plastic thing, which is great for the fingers, but if the carbon track itself is gone, then that's still not repairable. So yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, these are now soldered back in. It's a case of putting it back together and giving it a nice good clean. So we've done the string, we've replaced the lights, and we've now got two potentiometers. Balance one I'm definitely happy with. Tone one, no, I'm not completely happy with, because it's imbalanced from left to right, but I still think there's going to be enough there to make it work. But let me know the difference in the comments below, what it means when you've got an imbalance left to right. What does that actually mean? Do you need two lots of tracks because you've got treble control on the left hand audio and the right hand audio? Maybe that's it. Maybe it's for the left and right hand side. Anyway, I've got it all soldered back in now. I just want to show you me putting the little plastic things back in, and also I want to show you how the actual touch sensitive buttons work. Up is going to increase the treble or increase the bass, yeah? So think about it, we've got a light shining through here. If I pull this up, can you see what's going to happen? The light's going to shine through this way. If I put it down, the light's going to go shine through here. So basically it needs to go that way. Because if I did it this way round, when I go up, can you see it's actually going down? It's going to have the illusion of the light going down because this is blanked out. So it needs to go this way. It's so clever how they've done that, because when it's back together, it does make it look digital. Now, each of these little things, yeah, for the touch sensitive buttons at the front, they all go onto these little posts. So if you have a look, we have little posts just here, here, here. Let me zoom in to show you. So it's these things here, yeah, and there'll be another one here, another one here. So I'm just going to make sure each of them are clean. So now when I put this on, I've got to make sure that these all contact with them, which can be easier said than done. So let's put it on this way and try to slide it up into position. I don't know whether there's a technique for doing this or not. Right, so that's sat down. Let's now push up. I wonder, is that it? I bet that's it. Let's put the screws in. If it's not right, I'll take it apart again. Okay, so it's time to get all the screws back in, and then we can bring it over to the kitchen floor and give this thing a nice good clean. Let's get it trying to look like it did when it came out of the factory. So I'm happy overall. There wasn't really that much wrong with this. So the string caused a derailment because of the knots, but I've put a knot around the big tuning wheel now. So unless somebody was to go to the end of travel and keep spinning it for another 30 seconds, really there's no need that knot is going to cause any problem. But it may need a restring in the future. But I don't think it's going to derail in the position it's in now, as long as it's used sensibly. The two slider potentiometer things, it's just the best of a bad bunch, basically. If I didn't have my old one that I was willing to use for spares, then I'd have no way of fixing these. I would just have to go out and buy another one and hope that, another faulty one, and hope that the potentiometers in that were better. But we have got two that I believe will work. I replaced the 3 lamps over because they were blown, they're incandescent, those sort of things are just going to happen. And the on and off switch, what I did is give it a nice clean because it was incredibly stiff, and now that will hopefully be working fine. So once we give this thing a clean up, I'm hoping that it will all be working, but we won't know that until I plug it in and see what's happening. So let's listen to a bit of music now and watch this thing get scrubbed clean. Okay, I've got a damp cloth here, not wet, just slightly damp, and I've got a little bit of kitchen roll, but I won't be rubbing that on the glass or the aluminium. I'll be doing that like underneath and under wood and stuff, and then I'll be using a microfiber cloth for those bits there. So let's see if we can get these stains out of it. So while we're scrubbing, let's give a shout out to the My Mate Vince Massive. The members this month are kitdigital.com, Kip Hakes, Max Rokatansky, Chris Seal, Felipe at MrKeebs.com, DJ VG, Pigsy, Anthony Dean, Bazza2, Russ Melanson, Gaspar Heller, Rickard Bergland, Soul Reaver 555, the My Mate Vince fan club over on Facebook, Tobias Hennig, and Astral Red Panda. So massive thanks to each and every one of you. Right, there's some coating on this which is kind of breaking down. So I think I remember this from the last one I did. Can you see it's coming off here? Yeah. So I think I'm just going to have to take it all off. I noticed it was patchy on the left hand side. What it probably does is it probably makes it ever so slightly harder to see through. So now the lights might look a little bit brighter, but you might actually be able to see, if you were to look closely, like you might see the bulbs more. I suppose it's ever so slightly tinted maybe. It has come up beautiful. So 1970s, late 1970s. So let's say this could be 1976. It's looking pretty special for that age now, isn't it? Look at that. So that's a good thing when something's made well. Imagine if that was just plastic everywhere, it'd be scratched, but because it's made well, then even all these years later, it comes up really clean. The black here has come up lovely, so all the grooves are nice and clean. Everything's come up well. Look at the hinge down here. You can see how nice that all looks, and the wood. It all looks lovely. So let's plug it in now and see if it's working on both sides. Hopefully it is now that we've replaced this balance thing. And then if it is, I'll finish up the video. I'll do a little bit of testing on it and finish up the video with this in a nice location. Okay, so we're in the left-hand speaker at the moment. Let's turn it on. What? Why is it not turning on?
Ha ha.
There's no standby light on. Oh, no! Well, I thought that was just going to work. Let me make sure that the fuse is okay in here. I'm trying to think now what that could be. Right, we're in there. Oh no! Why are you not working? Initially I think I haven't put the front panel on right, but why have we not got a... We should have a light here. As soon as we turn it on, we should have a light. That is really, really odd. Right, I've got some bubble wrap down, so I'm just taking off the back. Now let's see what's happening on the fuses over here. Right, so there's two fuses. It says 2 times 1.6 amp. Uh-oh, fuses are okay. I don't understand what's happening. Why is it now completely dead? No signs of life at all. That's so weird. So it comes up to here to a bridge rectifier. Where do you go to then? If that transistor thing was shorting, then it would have blown the fuse, would it not? Right, that screw is shorting against the board here. And I don't think it should. So basically the transistor bit was cut out from the video, but in order to take this black bit off, there's a transistor the other side of it. Now, in hindsight, I didn't need to touch any of this because you can just reach through a little hole and get to a screw when you remove the front panel. But I didn't know that at the time, so I took this black thing off and I had to undo the screw for the transistor. The transistor is using this kind of black metal bit where the speakers connect to as a heatsink. And but yet it's insulated from it with a little bit of plastic, and then a nut and bolt goes through it, but that also goes through a bit of plastic. Now the plastic thing is acting as a spacer. I put it on the back part thinking to insulate the screw, but clearly I got that wrong. The spacer must need to go on the actual transistor. So let's put it back with where I now think the spacer is in the correct position, so the screw itself is no longer shorting against this metal case here, and hopefully then it will work. I think what's happening is the transistor is being pulled to ground when it shouldn't be, and that's the reason it's refusing to turn on. Let me show you and hopefully it will make a bit more sense. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate that from that. Let's now see, hold on now, how can I turn this on safely? Pull that out the way. So can I short it now? Don't think so. So in theory I should be able to turn that on now. Right, I'm not going to put my hands anywhere up here. I'm going to plug it in now, see what happens. Where's the on and off con? On and off is here, but I want to be careful. Let's leave it in the on position and see if it comes alive. Plugging it in now. Yes, got a standby light.
It's something to do with that transistor. It must be. I've got it unplugged again. Right, okay. I think I'm going to put the cover back here on because I can do that without worrying about what's happening underneath. Let's put them all down. And all these down. On, off. That's working, that's working, that's working. They're all in. Right now, let me work out what's going on with this transistor. Let's put this back on properly. Right, I think what I did is I put this insulation bit. Let me just show you the parts. So basically we have a weird kind of transistor thing down here, and it's got a lump of plastic on it to insulate it from the metal. Insulate it from the metal, yeah. And I need to put some more thermal paste on that. And basically we have these three parts here. We've got a bolt, a plastic bit and a nut. So what I did is I put the bolt through with this thing like that. Yeah, so this was on the outside of here. I now think what happens is this is supposed to go on the, that's supposed to go on the inside. Yeah, and then the nut goes there. So what it's doing is it's insulating the screw, I think, from... It's insulating the screw from the item itself. But what my worry would be is what's stopping this screw from wiggling a little bit left and right?
So we know it wasn't turning on because of the transistor. We've proved that because when we separate the transistor from the metal back bit, it starts working. Also, it's something that I've done. This was working fine. It just didn't work on one side of the speakers, but it always used to turn on. So basically, I am worried about the fact that the screw could move slightly left or right a tiny bit if it got a bit of a knock. And then, as far as I can see, it's going to short through the transistor itself, because even when I put the insulation thing in, it's not going to stop the screw from wobbling where it goes through the whole of the transistor. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut a new bit of plastic out just from some grape packet or some fruit packet that I've got in the recycling, and I'm going to make it slightly bigger. That will allow the transistor to move ever so slightly to the left or right without shorting on the metal, because right now the plastic bit fitted perfectly on the transistor, but nobody can see in here, so it's fine to have the plastic a little bit bigger. Also, what I'm doing is I'm making a little hole in the plastic that's only big enough for the screw. So that means then when I clamp it all down, the screw, as long as the plastic stuck to the metal and the transistor via the thermal paste, that's not going to want to wiggle around the place because of the thermal paste, and the screw is going to go through a perfect hole, so the screw won't be able to wobble left or right. Then I think when I do it all up, if it's testing okay, I'm going to put a lump of black hot glue on this screw, and that way then the screw has been glued to the metal bit, so there's no risk of it moving. Even if I was to drop this or if it was to get transported somewhere, it's not going to work its way loose. If somebody needs to get in here again in the future, it's obvious there's a big lump of black glue on there, and they can just use a tiny bit of IPA and it will lift straight off. The great thing about using hot glue is when you use isopropyl alcohol on it, it just lifts straight off without leaving any residue. Honestly, it's amazing. Beforehand, I used to see hot glue and think it was a complete nightmare. Not anymore. It's a joy to work with. It's a joy to put on, and it's a joy to take off, because the isopropyl alcohol will lift it straight off in one lump, and then you can just heat it up and use it again. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. And now let's start filming again as we're about to test it to see whether now we have sound coming out of both sides, left and right.
Okay, now let's see. Power on. Excellent, we've got the standby. So let's go to FM. Oh, I can see lights. Oh wow, I'll show you that in a minute at the end. Right, okay, so now balance. Nothing, something, but this one always worked anyway. So now let's turn it upside down. Put this into the other one. Yes, we've got something. And now we've got it on the way up, but nothing on the way down. So it was just a balance thing here. They look so nice. I'll show you all that at the very end when I've got it in a nice location. And on the other speaker, that one there, and that is up, and nothing down. And the second lot of speakers on the left, down and nothing up. Results, brilliant. Right, okay. Yes. I'm so glad there was nothing major, that it was just that transistor thing that was stopping it from working. Let me get both speakers set up, let me get this in a nice location, and we'll finish up the video. Right, here it is in all its aluminium glory, and not only does it look beautiful, in my opinion, it sounds amazing. It really does. Considering the age of this thing, we're talking 45 years-ish. It just sounds and looks fantastic. I've got some cheap TV aerial plugged in for my, rabbit ears for the FM, and it appears to be picking up something anyway. But I'm going to play you out with an actual royalty-free music, so hopefully you'll hear the full sounds of it. It just looks beautiful. I can't wait to show you these things here. It's so well done. And this here, I love the way that closes so slowly. But yet it's just perfect, and when it closes it's not a little bit lopsided. It's like everything makes contact at the same time. It's just like a perfect piece of aluminium. I know I sound like a sado, but it's beautiful. It really is absolutely amazing. Right, so I'm going to just show you the radio working quickly because I don't want to get done for copyright, and then I'm going to play out with some music. So watch this now. If I was to go here, you will hear now that this is basically going to be up here, and it will go to FM stereo here, and you have lights here as well. And this is lovely, the way it moves up and down.
Can help you face the lag. Formulated with 11 vitamins and minerals.
And basically, it'd be nice if I could just put it on a station that was nice and clear. There we go. So the idea is, you see, that you would have that down like that, and then you've got your presets here because you've got your 5 FM radio stations here and your tape and your record player. So you wouldn't have to have that up. Yeah, so that's that. And then, for example, if you wanted to go on to something else, you would have that preset here, and then you can move this up and down.
Big maintenance problems. Southeastern services from Cannon Street to Charlton and New Cross Thames Link. We've got some
reception's bad in my area, but anyway, I want to show you now. Let's slow it down. I want to show you this. How nice does this look here? So, okay, well, hold on 1 second. Balance. So if we go here, it's all coming out here, and then if I go here, it's all coming out here. I'll tell you what. Let's play the music, and then go to tape. So now it's going to be coming out from the so it's nice and clear. Now listen, so that's this one, balance, and there's this one here now. So let's put them in the middle, and now treble. You can hear massive differences.
So you can learn to be kind.
And bass. Yeah, but look how nice this looks here. Look at the way they've done it. So you can see when I move it up, can you see it just jumping along? It's so clever. It's lovely, isn't it? It's a real clever way of doing it. Now remember, also I love the way it does that. Remember, if these bits of card were perfect, you wouldn't have so much bleed around the middle section. Remember, the middle section's kind of burnt away a bit, but look at the way that happens. Imagine that in the 1970s. That would look pretty impressive, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? We're talking about probably just before the Atari 2600, and then you've got this sort of stuff going on. It looks absolutely amazing, and the fact of these that are so touch sensitive is just lovely. Really nice. It's so good, and the sound, in my opinion, sounds really good. Right, so that's it. I'm going to play you out now with a little bit of music. I hope you enjoyed the video. All the problem was all to do with this balance here, and the fact that the string had come away here. But now, as well as this, For example, this is working nice and smoothly, so I can turn this on and off here really easy. While to begin with, that was a nightmare. And I've just given it one big cleanup, and it's come out immaculate. But I'll show you that closely now in the outro. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching. This is Velvet Moon, Queen of Hearts. I will see you all very soon.
Went out and tried to cut a pine tree down, fell through the ground like Alice. Oh, what a sound! This must be a nest. I got rocks and sticks against my chest. I'm Alice. Dear Queen of Hearts, I'ma grow you white roses so you can learn to be kind. Tell King of Hearts to honor his forces so you can learn to be kind. Oh, what a start! Inside out and upside down. No stress, I'ma clean up this mess like Alice. First hand me scissors, then bring out that heavy artillery. Oh, justice is my middle name, I'm Alice. Dear Queen of Hearts, I'ma grow you white roses so you can learn to be kind. Tell King of Hearts to honor his forces so you can learn to be kind. I'm Alice. Dear Queen of Hearts, I'ma grow you white roses so you can learn to be kind. Tell King of Hearts to honor his forces so you can learn to be kind. And the horizon silver light